now with our breaking news tonight in the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, a U.S. official now telling our Barbara Starr, a Pentagon correspondent, that the U.S. intelligence community is increasingly focused on, quote, those in the cockpit of the plane. I want to bring back now Arthur Rosenberg. He's an aviation engineer, and he's going to talk about the Boeing trip. You gave me great information yesterday, and you'll be giving our viewers great information. We're talking about the possibility of what happened now in this cockpit. So what I want to know, the systems in this cockpit. Could a passenger have gotten into the cockpit? Do they needed to get into it if they wanted to do something, finagle some sort of major mechanical or electrical system? And then we'll talk about the engines. Let's talk about the cockpit first.
Okay, well, first off, the cockpit door on this airplane is reinforced. So it's not like the cockpit doors of old where they were tissue paper thin. You could kick them in, you can gain access. These doors are security doors which are designed to withstand an attempt to access the cockpit. In addition, I'm not sure about this plane, but many of these planes have a deadbolt on the inside that can be locked from the pilot and co-pilot side, which would absolutely prevent anybody from accessing it. A more vulnerable scenario would be that if the pilot or co-pilot would allow a flight attendant in, at that point in time, someone then could obviously access the airplane.
Okay.
As far as equipment bays, the electrical bay of this airplane is actually located towards the front of the airplane. Okay. There are some variations.
But do you have to get into the cockpit to get to the electrical bay?
Well,
there have been various reports about that.
Yeah, I've actually heard both reports. One indicating that the electrical bay, which is underneath the level of the cockpit, can be accessed from the inside. I heard another report that there actually was an access cover that required a special screwdriver that had a special screw that had to be turned. It kind of was a security lock to get into that area.
Going back to something that we talked about earlier, we were talking about the scenario of lithium batteries. And that way, if it would be in the cargo hold. But this plane isn't necessarily powered or help powered by lithium. We're talking about lithium batteries being stored in the cargo hold.
In fact, one of your viewers actually commented, so let's make that absolutely clear. Okay. This airplane is not like the Boeing 787, which is powered largely with lithium batteries. Okay. But in the context that we were speaking, this plane, from what we've been told, had a large number of lithium batteries that were in the cargo bay of the airplane.
I've got about 10-15 seconds left. We're talking about the engines being quiet enough on this plane so that it can land onto an airstrip somewhere and go unnoticed. And it can, because these are quiet engines, you say.
If you compare these engines to the engines of old, the straight turbojet engines, they screamed when these planes flew over. This plane, when it flies over, is largely very quiet. The engines are quiet. It contributes to a stealth form of landing.
Thank you very much, Arthur Rosenberg, an expert on aviation. We're going to cover this entire scenario from stem to stern on this plane. What could have happened? Back with our breaking news right after this.